only place for everything Vikings. 6, 1, 2, Vikings.
Welcome back to 612 Vikings, and it is officially training camp season for the Minnesota Vikings. As you guys can tell, I am a little scorched from today being at camp, and we're going to go over everything that happened at training camp today, being it the first day back for fans and players. Well, not necessarily players, but fans at least, back together Saturday for the whole NFL. But Drew, before we get started, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good. We got a lot of news that came in, and kind of similar to what it was a couple years ago, I feel like training camp wise. But, we're all excited that it's just, it's like counting down the days till Christmas until it comes back. And then once it's finally there, everyone will be happy. So it's just counting down. We should get like one of those little Christmas calendar things that have like the little chocolate
Little
in there.
advent calendar?
Yeah, the advent calendars. Yeah, we should get a football advent calendar just to count down the days of football. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But before training camp started, we actually had some huge news. I guess noon or so, it kind of, or 12:30, it kind of rolled around, and that was safety, linebacker, corner, defensive lineman, whatever you want to call him at this point. Josh Metellus signed a new contract with the Minnesota Vikings. Drew, if you want to let us know what the contract details are and everything about that.
Yeah, so right now it's been reported that Metellus has a 3-year contract extension, which we predicted that would happen to keep it at the age 30 season, and that it has been reported that he's at $36 million, and then $25 million of that will be guaranteed, with a $42 million max, which based on incentives and performance and whatnot. So what really is telling to me, I really thought that he'd be in the neighborhood of Bynum, but the fact that he only was at 12 million versus I think Bynum got 15, 16 million, he got it at a 30% discount, and you're keeping him around until age 30 season. I think that's a huge win for Kwesi. Especially somebody who's so important, can be so vital on that defense. And I think I don't know if I tweeted or somebody saw somebody tweet it, but I remember saying, yeah, it's funny how Metellus was like this Swiss Army knife kind of player in that 2020 draft when everyone was raving about Isaiah Simmons doing the exact same thing, who is now on Green Bay's roster trying to copy our playbook by getting a versatile Swiss Army knife kind of player. But obviously we know that Simmons is not to the level of a Josh Metellus. But I just thought that was really interesting that, you're just looking back when the whole draft process was happening. Everyone was expecting this guy to be that, versatile, kind of Swiss Army knife kind of guy, and you ended up getting that player that everyone thought Isaiah Simmons was going to be in the 6th round, and just right around the neighborhood at the next state over in Michigan. So I just thought that was really funny, and I think it's really important that we get as much continuation with our defense as much as possible, and I think it's going to really help the Vikings out, and potentially I could see them being the number 1 defense in the league. So especially when you have a guy as smart as him. When you're a Michigan grad, you got to be a smart player. So I think it's going to be really, I think we're going to see some really big things coming in for the Vikings defense, taking that next step to maybe be the best defense in the NFL.
Yeah, I remember when Josh Metellus was making his first start. I don't know if it was his first, but he made a start with the Vikings back in 2021, I believe. It was against the Lions in Detroit when I think Harrison Smith was out for that game. And every Vikings fan was like, oh, great, here we go. Josh Metellus is starting. Who the heck is that? And just kind of over the years, he's kind of made his impact on the field. A couple of years ago, he had that game-winning interception against the Lions, against Jared Goff. And I think that's what kind of had his coming out party, too, is just he's a dog. That's really all he is. And the fact that he can play so many different positions like Isaiah Simmons can, obviously, like you said, Metellus is better at doing it. But Metellus, I think, he's a perfect player, like body type, smarts, everything, that he can play a safety, a corner, a nickel, a linebacker, defensive line, whatever. Maybe not defensive line all the time, but he can blitz. He has the speed, he has the knowledge, he can drop back, whatever he can do. But I think at that rate that he got signed for, I think it is pretty much a steal, because once we get a year or two into that contract, there's other players that are going to be signed to bigger contracts than that too. And for him to be at the market that he's at, I think he got paid what, safety money, because he is technically a safety, but uh, it'll be really cool to see how this all develops and plays out, because it's adding on to the year that he's already having this year. So we kind of
Yeah.
get him for the next 4 years. So
Yeah.
it'll be super fun to watch Metellus play through all this.
Yeah, so essentially the contract, or if you're looking for any equivalent player to really look at, his contract lines up perfectly with Grant Delpit of the Cleveland Browns and Jalen Thompson of the Arizona Cardinals. The only difference being that Metellus got a $500,000 more than Jalen Thompson of the Cardinals, and about $1.5 million more than Grant Delpit. So,
So that's
like,
a steal.
yeah, and that's what we're talking. Like, that's what we're saying. Like, the fact that you get a guy like of Metellus's caliber around that money, which, I mean, not that they're bad players. They're just, I feel like those are guys that are just kind of there. But like when it comes to Metellus, a lot of people don't really know him as much. But it's one of those. It's like Taysom Hill. Like, he's not a household name, but you'll know who he is if you're a big football fan, because you know that, oh, that's the guy that plays all the positions on defense. So I think the fact that I just think he brings a little bit more value than a Delpit and a Thompson, simply because of those factors, that he can play all those different positions if you need him to fill in for a game. So, but yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And, he's, like I said, just checking, Bynum did get paid $15 million. So, like, for me, the fact that he's getting paid less than Bynum is just the crazy thing, because I don't think a lot of Viking fans are saying Bynum was better than Metellus. I think we kind of saw Metellus as the number 2 safety, when what it was Metellus and Bynum and Harrison Smith on the defense.
Yeah, now Metellus obviously didn't practice today. He's kind of dealing with like a mild ankle injury, whatever it is, rolled ankle. But the defense today, since I was at camp, it was pretty hit and miss on a few plays here and there. But I think the big day belongs to J.J. McCarthy, and I think a lot of people have seen that all over social media today, is J.J. McCarthy's 60-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Addison. That was great. That one, unfortunately, I didn't get on video. I was taking a break for some reason and just happened to miss that. But yeah, he had that 60-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Addison, which was really cool to see. And then he had a near 55-yard touchdown pass that the beginning of it, the defense jumped offside, so he kind of had that free play in a way. So JJ, like the smartest players will do, is take a shot downfield, and he found Jalen Naylor down the field. Down at the goal line is where he would have caught it, or a little bit into the end zone. But Byron Murphy made a really great play on it. If you guys haven't seen it, check out my Twitter, Dust_Vikings. I've tweeted that video. Other people have tweeted it too and used it. But J.J. McCarthy has had a really solid camp, just overall through the past couple days. But today, he really put on a clinic. Really good in the red zone. I even put this tweet out that I even said it last year. J.J. McCarthy is going to be a really good red zone quarterback. And I think that this is what the Vikings need, is a really good dissector in the red zone. Because Sam Darnold, we saw in the last 2 games last year, was not a good red zone quarterback. And just kind of all year, just kind of shaky in the red zone. So it's really nice to see J.J. McCarthy make those tight throws in the red zone and in the end zone. So there was one to Hawkinson. Hawk had a big day, but we'll kind of discuss a little bit about J.J. McCarthy's big day. What did you kind of see through other videos, Drew, about J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just a lot of people have noticed, who maybe have gone from back-to-back camps. They've seen a little bit more growth out of him. I mean, like Grant's, he's probably getting a little bit more reps this time because he is the QB1 versus last year where he was the backup, so maybe his roles are a little limited. But people were still raving about him last year, saying, oh, this guy's going to be good. But the fact that it's gone to this level, I don't know if it's because we're in the honeymoon phase of JJ, and that he could do no wrong. It could be a little bit of that, but the fact, like, I didn't see it to this level, to where it was last year, because I feel like even last year there was still that honeymoon phase, because I think a lot of Viking fans thought that, okay, well, McCarthy, if he's not starting week 1, he would be the starter eventually for the team. So the fact that you're seeing all this hype even grow further, like the difference between last year's and this year's hype, I think, is greater than, oh, well, this is just a rookie quarterback or whatever. So I in what ways, I guess I can ask you, what ways have you seen him really grow? Because you've obviously seen him more in person, and seen him face to face, what ways would you say he's grown?
I think, I'm not going to say I know everything about the quarterback position. I'm not KOC of the average fan, but I think his footwork has really improved a lot, which has helped him with these touch throws throughout camp. Because some of them, he's even talked about this, that some of these throws can be put on a rope. Some of these throws need a little more touch, a little more of this, a little more of that. But I think his footwork. A lot of people have noticed, last year during camp, he would kick his right foot up when he would throw a ball, whether it's a deep ball, intermediate, whatever it is, just kind of kick that foot up because that's what he's doing in Michigan. And KOC kind of was teaching him through that, hey, try to avoid that. Now, there's some quarterbacks that do kick their right foot up after throwing, which to me, honestly, isn't a huge deal, but you want to use your right foot as your driving foot to get that power.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, from what I've seen, J.J. McCarthy, his footwork has been phenomenal. Does he kick that right foot up still? A little tiny bit, but it's not much. I think that's definitely what he has improved on, and I think that lower body control, in a way, has also helped him with those touch throws. So with that, I mean, just accuracy. He's always been kind of that accurate quarterback, too, throughout camp these past 2 years. So other than that, I think he's a really smart football player. I think he has all the intangibles too, and just athleticism, just the skill set. So I think he's looked really good throughout camp these past 2 years.
Yeah, and I think when the whole, I'm kind of glad you brought up the leg kick thing. I think there's going to be reasons why things aren't going your way. Like, we can't draft him because of this guy and this guy. Like Jaden Daniels was, he's too skinny, he's going to get hurt. And there's the same thing with Lamar. And can he even play quarterback? And then Mahomes, he throws off his back foot too much, and he's throwing these little 50-50 balls, and those are going to get picked off in the NFL. So there's always these like red flags of like even Justin Jefferson was he can only play the slot. So there's going to be these things like, we can't do this, this, and this, and why you can't draft him. So if it simply is something that's like a leg kick, I think that's something you could live with, because the fact, like, if you're a baseball fanatic, you use that leg kick to really deliver speed and velocity through the ball, because it creates more torque in your hips driving through that ball, which is something that he does very well. So I think with that, when you do have that leg kick, it might be more of an advantage than a disadvantage in some ways, because you are getting those extra, miles per hour that you might need in order to really fit that ball in perfectly for that receiver to grab the ball. So, the only downside is, if you were to get hit in the leg, maybe it can cause issues, but that's already a penalty. So usually players are told not to go at the players' legs like that. But, like I said, it could be an advantage in some way. And it worked out with Patrick Mahomes, with his little razzle-dazzle, I'm going to run around like chicken with my head cut off sort of thing and make a play. And that was seen as a weakness, ended up being a big strength. So we'll wait and see, and I think only time will tell in the regular season, and seeing what will go from there.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a big difference. I mean, no two quarterbacks are the same. I mean, you look at Baker Mayfield, he hardly ever kicks his foot up. And then you have a guy like Josh Allen that will kick his foot up once in a while. So both, one's a pretty decent quarterback. I would love to have him on my team, if we didn't have JJ. But another guy that is a superstar in the MVP race, almost every year for the past 3 to 5 years. So it doesn't matter too much. It just kind of depends on your coach and how you run your system, stuff like that. It's all intricate to them, not to us as fans. We like to know what we look for in a way, but it's all up to KOC. So other than that, I mean, the offense, pretty much, it was an offensive day for sure. I mean, McCarthy was kind of going against the twos and a little bit of the ones as well, where, Jalen Naylor, Speedy Naylor, he had a pretty decent day. Dropped a couple balls. I mean, he's done that through past couple of years that he's been on the Vikings. So Hawkinson had a pretty solid day as well. Couple red zone touchdowns. Aaron Jones looks really good too, really shifty. Still has that speed. Another thing too, the other running back, Jordan Mason. I don't know who Jordan Taylor would be. But Jordan Mason, he's surprisingly quick too. Just out in the open, everybody looks quick then. But I was surprised on how fast he was. He looked pretty good. But definitely an offensive day. Speaking of offense as well too, I want to talk about the offensive line combination. Shouldn't be a shock to many people, But from left to right, I'll go right to left actually. Brian O'Neill is your right tackle, obvious, whatever. Your right guard, with Will Fries being injured, coming back soon, within a couple days, not weeks, is Blake Brandell. He is your right guard for the first team reps. Ryan Kelly is your center. Uh, Donovan Jackson, your first round rookie, is your left guard. And then your left tackle right now, since Darisaw is out, is Justin School. So not a bad combination right now for what you're working with. I think they're still kind of monkeying around with what they can do, what your best combination is. But Drew, what do you think of that offensive line combination for what we're working with right now?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you just kind of ease these guys into it. I think I saw some like Fries might have had another surgery or something like that. I don't know if that's something I saw or not, but it was either that or JJ had it. I know JJ for sure had it, but regarding Fries, he's a big contract free agent. You have him signed for 5 years, so there's no need to rush this and force this injury back. If they do want to potentially win a Super Bowl this year, it's going to have to be through the trenches in the O-line. You really don't want a guy who's maybe at 60% rushing in week one when there's such a long season ahead. So you'd rather have it where you can take your bumps, against your fourth place Chicago Bears and potentially try to sneak a win there on the road and then come back maybe at home and maybe they start against Atlanta or maybe even come back for Cincinnati. So I feel like, those first stretch of games is pretty friendly compared to the before bye versus after bye. It's kind of different from last year because it was pretty heavy before the bye and then really light after the bye. So like I said, I think you can kind of ease up into this more and then really get them going at least by midseason at the absolute latest. But like I said, you don't want to have anything like last year where you had McCarthy tear a meniscus in the preseason games, or you have Mekhi Blackman tear an ACL. So just kind of easing this up. It's a practice. Just save it for the games in the future and later on. So I get why they're going with the combination that they are.
Yeah. And then before we get to our last point of the day, too, I do want to shout out one defensive player as well before, we crap on them too much after today. And that was Andrew Van Ginkel. Still having a really good camp, building off of last season and last camp as well. Almost had another pick six. I can't remember who the quarterback was. I want to say it was Sam Howell, which also he had a pretty good day too. But it was a rollout to the left. Andrew Van Ginkel kind of went out to rush the passer, get to him, stuck his hands up, and almost had that pick. But still really good on defense, obviously. Jonathan Allen looked pretty good, has some good push as well on that defensive line. Had a good video of that going against, I think, Walter Rouse, because he's number 73 now. So, yeah, I think a lot of our new guys here, free agent-wise, are looking really, really good. I mean, that's without pads and stuff too. But, going to special teams, though. To end the day, they were doing some field goals. Will Reichert, a good positive, was 5 of 6 to end the day. The one that he missed, I think, was wide left. I don't remember it, or maybe it was wide right. He missed it regardless. But 5 of 6, not too bad. It's kind of the same spot, maybe backing up 5 yards every time. But I think it looked pretty promising. So, yeah, that's kind of it for Will Reichert there.
Yeah, 90% ain't bad. So it's an A in school. So anything 90% or higher is what you look for. That's kind of how I look at field goal percentages there.
Yeah, I almost forgot too about our new punter Chapman. I forgot what his first name is, but he's like the international guy for international contract or whatnot. So if I'm not mistaken, he's kind of like a practice squad guy that isn't on the practice squad, but he can stay on the Vikings. No other team can kind of poach him, basically.
Yeah, it's basically like what Sammy Reyes was last year at the tight end position, so he won't count towards a roster spot. It just is basically it's a free roster spot you get, so just to help coach and develop guys for a potential NFL career.
Yeah, with that said, I mean, that's pretty much it that happened for today. It's a pretty low-key day for everything that has happened offensively. Hopefully we can get some more defense these next couple days. We are back on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off Thursday, back Friday, Saturday, as far as this next week goes. So, yeah, like I said, I will be there every single day as long as it's not raining and doesn't rain us out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty good offensive day. Drew, has there been anything else you want to point out that you've seen on Twitter so far today?
No, I think I think honestly, it's just more the rival fans trying to find something, be like, oh, look
Oh
at
my
the
God.
JJ check down thing, or
That
just
Bears
whatever.
account.
But just trying to rage bait like,
Miserable.
and I just think it was a little bit. They can do a little better. Let's just say that they're trying to get underneath the skin of the fan base. So, like I said, it was better 10 years ago, and you could do it, poke fun at Kirk and the nerdy dad essentially. But it's really hard to poke fun at JJ because it's like, well, there really is nothing that I can feel like you can poke fun at because all he has done has been winning. So there really is not much to really nitpick when it comes to his college career.
I hope he goes for like 400 yards
Yeah.
against the Bears week 1 and just 4 touchdowns. Just lights him up.
Yeah, that'd be
like
fun.
0-34 final
I
score.
love it.
So yeah, with that said, we will see you guys on Monday. We'll try to record a episode after every practice if possible, just to kind of keep you guys updated on what has happened. And yeah, on Twitter, I'm posting all the training camp videos along with a couple other people too. So that will be Dust_Vikings. And then yeah, make sure you guys follow us on our official Twitter page, 612 Vikings. And then on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, 612 Vikings. You guys know the deal. And we'll go from there. So hopefully we get another good couple weeks of training camp. Yeah. Skull Vikes.